And thereafter, you can have a moment to ask questions, to get further details on any aspect of the competition or the content that has been shared with you. So please feel free to use that opportunity. You can put your hand up in the meeting. If you don't know how to do that, just chat with the host and they will let you know how to go about that. But you just put your hand up and you'll be called on at a specified time to take your question, to share your question and then get a response to it. All right. Once again, I thank everyone for being in here this morning. And sorry, a quick apology from my end. You notice I'm not using the backdrop. This is like a backup device that I'm using right now because the main device just suddenly decided to have an issue. These are some of the challenges we have in this space in our environment, but nonetheless, we find a way around them. You build redundancies to make sure that you can still keep to time and get things going. And that's another reminder for today's sessions and all our sessions, we will be keeping to time. So we're starting right on schedule and we're going to move right into the rest of the day's activities. Just all right, can we hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So once again, on behalf of our hosts and partners, some of which we will be apprised of, it is my pleasure to welcome us all to today's session. This hackathon is one of the outcomes of EFINA's push to grow financial inclusion in Nigeria from the grassroots up. There are two approaches to things like this. You tend to either go the policy way from top down, or you come from bottom up. And this session, this competition as a whole, has been put together by EFINA in partnership with GIZ, otherwise known as GIZ, to help strengthen, highlight, and support financial services solutions creators in Nigeria to start looking at creating solutions right from where it matters, right from inside the market. And at this time, it is my pleasure to invite up the CEO of EFINA to give us all a welcome address for today's session. And he is none other than Mr. Isaiah.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Derek. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Very quickly, I just like to say thank you for everyone who has made this possible. We want to say a very big thank you to GIZ for committing to support this project and for their commitment also to improve the MSME space in the country. I think that is helping to accelerate the impact of development work across different sectors. I also like to say a very big thank you to FSI for working with us on this project. Our big idea for starting this project and being commissioned by EFINA and GIZ is to improve access to MSME financing in Nigeria, because we believe that it's a big opportunity to improve economic growth as a whole. And if you look at even data globally, you realize that data from the International Trade Center, a joint agency of the United Nations and World Trade Organization, actually highlights that 70% of all jobs globally is from MSMEs. That's huge, and that's a sector or a constituency that we cannot choose to ignore if we are thinking job creation or economic growth. And that's what's on our mind too at EFINA. We want to make sure that MSME have access to necessary finance to be able to help them to scale and serve the public. We do understand that there are a lot of other barriers that affect MSME from reaching their full potential. This could be infrastructure deficit or even lack of skilled workers. But definitely from all data or indications from all data, it's obvious that lack of access to finance can significantly impede the growth of MSMEs. And this, in turn, does not just affect the MSMEs themselves, but it also affects productivity, economic growth, and job creation. CBN has consistently stated that over the years, there's over 600 billion naira gap in MSME financing. That's huge, but there's also big opportunity. Technology is a huge enabler, and that's why working with GIZ on this project and FSI creates a unique opportunity for us to create new solutions that can accelerate the impact of MSME financing opportunities from creating a product that is relevant to our market, to ensuring that MSME have conducive platform to access finance, and also to ensuring that MSME have the necessary knowledge and skills to be able to even deliver on their mandate. So this is what EFINA believes is a collaboration, not just for today, but also for the future. And we are looking forward to the potential of this project, increasing access to financing and also helping us at EFINA to continue to support the MSME space with data that would help them to scale or accelerate the impact of their work. But most importantly, to ensure that MSMEs are able to work collaboratively with financial service providers to be able to have access to the necessary funding that will be able to help them to deliver on their promise to increase economic growth, create more jobs, and accelerate the impact of interventions focused on improving productivity. Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone that is part of this. GIZ, FSI, collaborators, technology experts, financial service providers, the media, and all other partners. I wish us a wonderful deliberation, and we definitely look forward to a very successful project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was Mr. Isaiah Owolabi, the CEO of EFINA. And we thank you so much for your words, welcoming everyone to this session. And at this time, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome up a very, very key representative of a very critical partner that has been mentioned in the persons of GIZ. That is the German presence in Nigeria. It's part of their diplomatic missions in Nigeria. It's also present in many other countries around the world to support this initiative as part of their own objectives as well in alleviating poverty and improving financial inclusion in sub-Saharan Africa. At this time, it's my pleasure to invite up, just a moment so I get the name right, Mr. Marcus Walshken, Cluster Coordinator, Sustainable Economic Development Cluster, SEDEC, and Head of Programs, Pro-Poor Growth and Promotion of Employment in Nigeria of GIZ. Please let us welcome him. Mr. Marcus, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks a lot for having us here as GIZ. You might wonder who is GIZ. GIZ is the German Technical Corporation, mainly funded by the German government. We also implement for the European Union. And our particular program, as in our cluster, in the Sustainable Economic Development cluster, we look mainly at job creation and increase of income for, in particular, young Nigerians. We do that in the CDM program mainly through the support of the business side, so generate demand for labor, generate opportunities for young entrepreneurs. We do that mainly with micro, small, and medium enterprises. So we look basically at the smaller part of the business side. We have all areas of interventions, from regulatory affairs. We look at particular value chains. We look at individual skills, business skills in particular, but also financial literacy. And we look at access to finance. I'm very happy also on this partnership we have with FINA. If you look at the financial challenges which we see with regard to the micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria, we see, of course, both supply and demand side challenges. On the supply side, the challenges are of the lack of financial products or services which are targeted to the particular needs of the MSMEs in the different sectors. Often we have generic loan products which are not suitable for the very diverse MSME market. We have ineffective tools to assess MSMEs and in particular their credit worthiness, which also is one of the factors which led to high default rate and to a bit of reluctance to the financial service of the established financial service providers to serve the MSME sector. In addition, of course, it takes a long time to go through all this process, long time from the perspective of the businesses, not of course necessarily of the perspective of the financial service provider. We have this incredibly huge potential that we have 40 million MSMEs in Nigeria operating that, of course, need, that's often stressed as one of the biggest challenges in Nigeria, access to finance. So they need financial services at one point. But we also have, from the financial service provider perspective, to acknowledge that there are demand side challenges on the MSME side as poor business and financial management skills. So we, in the program, we in GIZ, we are committed to improve this access for finance for MSMEs in Nigeria. On the demand side, we look at capacity development for MSMEs, such as financial literacy training packages, which we have developed together with the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is also free available as a state-study online course, which we have established on a platform called SMEsabi.com, and also modular trainings on entrepreneurial skills. We know a lot of MSMEs have their technical skills. They are good craftspeople, but they are not necessarily good business people, and financial literacy is a complete different story. We have also supply side challenges that we try to address with the support to selected financial service providers to help them to better understand MSMEs in different sectors. This misunderstanding we have on both sides. We have the lack of knowledge on the MSME side, but also on the financial service provider side, they are not very familiar with what MSMEs really need. So we have this approach to develop a better understanding of MSMEs in different sectors, to develop very targeted financial products, to support different actors in the financial sectors. We work with the Development Bank of Nigeria, with the Central Bank of Nigeria, with FINA, of course, in these projects to overcome the challenges which I've just mentioned. and to advance impact investing and alternative forms of MSME financing, such as leasing, factoring. We have a big project currently starting with in factoring and crowdfunding. So happy to be here, happy to have this great event today, and I'm very excited to see which solutions will be developed during this ideathon to break the MSME finance barriers here in Nigeria. And many thanks to our partner, EFINA, for this very fruitful partnership. Thank you so much. Mr. Moderator, dear colleagues from EFINA, I'd like to hand over now.
Okay, hello everyone. I think it appears Mr. Derek is having some internet challenges. Yeah, so I'm next on the agenda.
I was listening to Marcus's section and it appears to have cut off. I wasn't quite certain he finished. I figured it.
Are you there?
Seems not Derek has a bit unstable connection.
Yeah.
Marcus, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you, but you keep breaking. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Marcus's presentation appears to have been interrupted unless he has finished.
He has finished.
All right, it froze, then I didn't see him again. So I was wondering whether he was having technical issues. So, all right. Apologies for that interruption, everyone. And we are going to go right ahead into the next item on our agenda. We'll be provided with an overview of the thematic areas of the hackathon, the Breaking Barriers Challenge, by Nora from FSI. Please, Nora, you have the floor.
Okay.
From EFINA.
From EFINA. Hello, everyone.
Sorry, forgive me for that, please. Please carry on.
Hello. Thank you, Derek. Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us today on this call. Of course, thank you to our partners on this project, GIZ and FSI. Also, we are particularly excited that we have over 50 teams who have registered to be on this journey with us. So we're really expectant. We're definitely confident that at the end of the journey, of course, we would have mind-blowing and innovative solutions that would help us, address some of these challenges hindering access to finance for MSMEs. So I will quickly provide an overview of the MSME sector in Nigeria, after which I'll go into some of the challenges, key challenges MSMEs face when it comes to access to finance, and then we'll look at the thematic areas. All right, so in terms of the overview of the MSME sector in Nigeria, according to the SMEDAN and MBS 2020 survey, we have about 39.7 million MSMEs in Nigeria. And if we even compare these figures with the last survey, the figures from the last survey conducted in 2017, we'll see that there's a decline. So at 2017, there were like about 41 million plus MSMEs. But however, due to COVID, largely on COVID anyways, and of course, other factors, we can see that there's a decline in that number. Looking at GDP contribution, the MSME sector contributed 46% to the national GDP. In terms of employment contribution, we see 87.9%, which is basically high. In terms of exports, receipts is just barely 6.2%. And then in terms of the composition of the categories of MSMEs, we see that the nano enterprise category, which basically comprises of businesses with just one person, one man business, or the owner and an additional employee. These businesses make up 83% of the MSMEs we have in Nigeria. So that's one critical thing to look into, right? Looking at the dominant sectors, so the 4 top sectors in which the MSMEs play in, we have the agricultural sector, we have wholesale, we have services, and also we have the manufacturing sector. So looking at the challenges, the access to finance challenges MSMEs face, we've tried to, let me put this down a bit. So we've tried to group them into 3 main buckets. Mr. Marcus during his keynote address spoke to some of them, and I'll just buttress some more. So the supply side, of course, this refer to challenges that from the point of view of the financial service providers. So we see issues regarding rigid or manual credit appraisal system, right? This actually speaks to the financial service providers that are lower than the banks, so the microfinance banks and whatnot. And those are the people who actually relate more with the micro business owners, right? So we see that their processes are still quite manual. They haven't digitized it or automated the processes, and of course this has a negative effect on their productivity, on how easy it is or it is for them to review loan requests and whatnot. Also issues pertaining to financial literacy and also general literacy levels of the MSME, people in the MSME sector or segment. And then another issue is that the MSME sector is a very expensive sector to serve, really. And what happens is that, and that's because of the high risks that are involved, right? And what happens is that the financial service providers playing in the space now tend to deliver their products or their services at a very high cost, which of course deters micro businesses from coming, from approaching them to take up the solutions or the products. And for those who are even brave enough to take those solutions at the end, start struggling with repayment and whatnot, because the terms, and the conditions are not that favorable. And so, of course, high default rate is another issue, right? That's there. Lastly, on that supply side, we see lack of technical skills. So on the side of the financial service providers, some of them do not, or most of them do not have staff with the relevant technical skills to be able to specifically, provide advisory services and even put together products that speak to the needs of the MSME sector. So looking at the demand side challenges now speak to the challenges from the MSME's point of view, right? And we see that MSMEs have struggled with, being able to fulfill some of the requirements whenever they approach the financial service providers. And these requirements cut across, collateral, cut across financial records, financial statements. They're not able to, for several reasons, provide those documents or those requirements. Another issue would be unsuitable product offerings. So, like I said, because there's a skill set gap, right? Some of the existing products that we have available do not actually meet the needs. So the MSME guys won't take those products up, right? Then there's the issue of financial management skills. That's very key. We see a lot of micro business owners not being able to properly distinguish between, their personal income and business income. Everything is just lumped up. And then when they approach FSPs for loans and whatnot, they're not able to answer certain questions, and that's a big issue. Also, high interest rates is an issue. The timing as well, it takes, so most times we see the MSME guys complaining that, from the time when they go to make the request at the bank or make an inquiry till when they, till up until the time when they get feedback as to whether their request has been approved. Most times they've gone ahead to source for the money, from other informal channels, possibly from family and friends or from, the money lenders and the likes, right? So that's an issue. And of course, there's an awareness issue that exists. People don't even know, especially, those in the rural areas, they don't even know how to know that these products exist, not even talking about, how to interact and use the products. Then looking at the third bucket, so we've grouped other challenges, right? Challenges that speak to regulations, challenges that speak to economic situations. We've grouped them in this third bucket. And the first would be lack of infrastructure. And infrastructure here, covers a lot. There are issues with ID systems, there are issues with, basic infrastructure, logistics, power, good roads, stuff like that, like this, an issue with the general infrastructure. Lack of market linkages here speak to, it's more related to those or MSMEs in the agricultural sector. So, today we have issues of food wastage, right? Farmers are not able to, sell their produce because of that lack of access to market. They can't connect directly with, the off-takers and all, the people that are needed to move, food stuff, the whole supply chain, right? Also, another issue is insecurity. We have an awareness issue again here coming up, and then of course the poor state of the economy. So I would quickly delve into the thematic areas for this ideathon and hackathon. Of course, these thematic areas or these focus areas for us stem from the challenges, right? So we know and we understand that technology can help us, right? To move the needle in assessing in MSME financing in Nigeria. So the first one, I'll go through it. Of course, there are sessions throughout the rest of the week that would be explaining all these thematic areas, these focus areas. We'll explain them more in depth. So for the financial management skills development, this is a very, very critical area. Lack of financial management skills is one of the reasons why, MSME studies have shown that MSMEs do not survive past, at least 80% of them do not survive past the fifth year, right? So, like I said, people they're not able to understand, or they don't know how to properly manage the financial aspect of their business. Business is not just buying and selling. There's a lot that is required, right? And they don't know that. They don't know how to put together financial statements. Of course, there's the financial literacy angle to battle, right? So that is thematic area. We basically want to see that our micro business owners are better equipped, so they have more knowledge on how to conduct their on how to conduct their financial properly manage the financial aspects of their business. They are better positioned, right, to be able to assess loans and credit from formal financial service providers. And here on this slide, we just wanted to just bring out some features. So we're not boxing you, putting you in this box. We expect you developers to think outside the box here, but this could be your starting point, really, right? Your ideas or your solutions can have as many as as many as possible, features that you think are relevant and would fall under this thematic area, right? So because we're thinking of, improving financial literacy here, we want to see, it'll be good to have some financial literacy topics. And like it's been mentioned, GIZ has graciously put together a learning platform, the MSME Sabi platform, that has a standardized curriculum and key topics that help improve financial literacy. So more information on that will be shared during later on in this webinar. Of course, we want to see features that help the micro businesses, that help them to properly manage their businesses, build some skills possibly relating to record keeping, stock taking, being able to put together financial statements, like the balance sheet or the P&L, such kind of documentation, being able to manage, their debtors list, creditors list, things like that. So the next here that we'll discuss is the digitized credit appraisal and lending system. And this here basically just speaks to ensuring that the process, from the beginning to the end, the beginning is where the micro business owner either comes in contact with the FSP, to either make an inquiry or to make a request for a loan, that process, right, up until when funds are disbursed, it is fully digitized, right? This would ensure that, the FSP would be able to, of course, handle more loan requests. The FSP would, of course, rely on big data, right, to be able to make better disbursement decisions and whatnot. So here, looking at the features again that we can consider, and of course, blossom from here, we're looking at features that speak to automating information collection, right? So from when the person comes in to request, the process end to end should be fully automated. We're possibly looking at some feature that would possibly speak to credit scoring, right? Information generally that would help the FSP who's assessing the customer's willingness and capability to be able to, repay the loan. They would help, the necessary information, to be social information as well, right? In cases where the MSME does not have any credit history, really, all those kind of information here can, be pulled together to ensure that the FSP makes the right decision and, disburses, is able to provide a response really early enough and possibly disburse the loan on time to the MSME. So for the third one, we have the MSME Product Design Toolkit. And here, this speaks to the fact that, like I said earlier, there are a lot of existing solutions that we have that do not meet the needs of the MSMEs, right? They are not designed, the way they're designed, they do not actually meet the needs, so they're not taking it up. So here we actually want to see, something like a solution or solutions that would stand as a guide, to FSPs when FSPs, like financial service providers, when they're coming up with a solution. So if they have a design, an idea, for instance, they can run it through this tool and it evaluate the criteria they have put in place, and also kind of like provide some form of advisory or recommendation to say, yes, you're on the track, you're on the right track, or you need to adjust these two factors, you need to take out this, that kind of advisory feature would also be useful here. For the last bit, alternative collateral options. So collateral is a huge issue here. This in our market today, if you're going to take up a loan, if as an individual or as a business, you have to either collateralized, it's either secured or unsecured. So for those that are secured, of course, collateral will be involved. So there you have to either bring land or house or some form of property or even money, right? But for the unsecured loans, you don't have to bring collateral, but you still have to provide some form of guarantee to the FSP for them to be able to release their funds to you, right? Because it's not free money. They need to have that level of comfort that they're going to pay back as at when due, right? So here we're looking at solutions that yes, like solutions that would easily help, capture information that FSPs can use as either collateral or possibly some form of guarantee. You should automatically capture that information. You should be able to sync that information, even if there are network issues or something, you should be able to sync when they get to a place where there's network connectivity. You can, sync the information with to the platform of the FSP, right? You should be able to handle maybe GPS coordinates and whatnot, if they're measuring, if it's a land that's been captured and stuff like that, should be able to assess the value, the validity, and of course, the genuineness. So that's it on my slide. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said earlier, there are going to be sessions that would, go through all these topics in depth. And if you have immediate questions, you can type. For sake of time, maybe you can type them in the Q&A section, and yeah, we'll get back to you. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much for that. Very, very succinct overview of the thematic areas of this hackathon. So, a good look over the industry, the situation in Nigeria, and it's very instructive for our contestants to note this, all the content that's been shared here now. This is very instructive for what you're developing, guys. So please, if you have questions, it's a good time to put the hand up or use the Q&A module to put in your questions. You get an answer pretty much instantly. You could also put your hand up and then ask a question as well. I see Tosin put her hand up. But as it stands, we're a little bit behind time. Tosin, if you can hear me, I don't know, will we be able to allow this one question from Tosin very quickly? Can we do that? Sorry, our admin, can we confirm if we can take this one question from Tosin?
Yes, please. Let's quickly take the question.
All right. So Tosin, can we allow Tosin to be unmuted to ask a question quickly? Take it from there, please.
Tosin, you can go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question.
Tosin, I see another hand up. Take more. Tosin, you actually unmute yourself and ask a question. If not, we need to move forward. And I think we just have to do that immediately. Okay, we have to move forward, and up next is a short session facilitated by the Executive Director of FSI, in the person of Mrs. Aitos Kodadejo, to be speaking on the modalities of the challenge, the rules, how it all flows, and so on and so forth. So please, Aitos, you have the floor. You go right ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I would like to first of all appreciate Efina and Giz for putting this hackathon, ideathon together. And I strongly believe that it's going to speak to the various latent problems in the MSME sector. Without belaboring what Nora has said already, we are actually going to see indigenous, innovative solutions built for the common MSMEs. We all know that about 90% of those in the MSME sectors are actually micro merchants, not the small or medium merchants, they are micro merchants. And so these solutions are likely going to speak to their needs. We started this challenge by brainstorming with EFINA to come up with a problem statement that will speak to the 4 thematic areas. And that problem statement has been shared with those that have registered for the event. Registration started on the 8th of July and is still open for participation till the 1st of August. Currently, 59 teams have registered. And what makes up a team is a minimum of 2 people. So we have over 118 people already registered for this challenge. And I think this is exciting as we know it. I'll first of all like to appeal to the attendees here and all those participating at this event to ensure that they attend every webinar session, which has commenced today. There will be 2 sessions speaking to financial management and skills development session today. There will be 2 other sessions tomorrow, and there will be 2 other sessions on the 29th. I do not want to advise you to start working on your ideas without listening to the webinar panelists. That's where you will gain insights on what to really work on. This challenge is a 3-round challenge. So we're going to start with the ideathon phase. The ideathon round is when we expect the participants to think a bit more about the thematic area, whether financial management, MSME development toolkits, alternative collateral options, whatever area you're interested in, think about it, and also talk to some MSMEs that you know have these challenges. They're either informal MSMEs. It's safer to talk to those who you know have poor record keeping skills, deal largely in cash, because this is supposed to be impactful in the informal sector, to understand what their challenges are. And then these challenges, the idea to solve these challenges or to ameliorate the situation of MSMEs, especially access to finance, which is what we are all dealing with, will be documented on a lean canvas. In collaboration with EFINA, we're organizing about 3 capacity building sessions. One of the sessions to be held on Friday to speak to how to use a lean canvas. Through that lean canvas, you'll be able to document your idea. It's a strictly remote session. It's advisable that your idea is clearly written. First of all, you state what problem you are trying to solve and state the 3 key issues that you see. You talk about your solution on that lean model and also the unique value propositions. The judges, a panel of judges, about 5 of them, will review your submissions during the ideathon round, and that round will come to an end on the 9th of August, and then we'll commence the second round. The second round is the mock-up stage. During the mock-up stage, we expect that the participants that have been shortlisted, at least 30 of them, will come up with a prototype of what they are trying to build. The output of this entire event is a minimum viable product. So at the second phase, the second round, you're going to be coming up with just mock-ups. You're not building anything. You're showing us your mock-ups, and your mock-ups will speak to process, your mock-ups will speak to customers, your mock-up will speak to the use cases in the markets that will help us and the judges, EFINA and GIZ as well, to appreciate the problem and the solution you are providing. So the second stage is also, if you are shortlisted, is also as important as the first stage. The best 20 designs from the mock-up stage will also be shortlisted based on the judge's decision to the final stage, which is the MVP stage. The MVP stage is where you build the minimum viable products. It's very interesting to know that these solutions are going to be implemented. Working closely with EFINA, we're going to ensure that these solutions are implemented by financial services providers. What that also means is that you should start thinking of solutions that can easily be integrated to legacy systems. What do I mean? If I'm going for some events, for instance, I will not go with a Volkswagen when I know that the president is going to be there and all the delegates are ambassadors. I will be looked down upon no matter who I am. I will go maybe with a Jeep or accompany somebody. What am I trying to say? You have to build a solution that its time has come. And that's why these webinar sessions are important. You're going to come up with a solution that will address social problems. So it can be easily integrated, it can easily be used by the people. During the program, during this entire event, we're going to teach you how to build a minimum viable product. So you're not just going to participate in the challenge, you are also going to hone some of your skills, learning to document your idea using the lean canvas. Is a high elevation pitch. Anybody who sees it knows whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. You're going to learn how to pitch to a panel of judges to tell them why this solution makes sense out there in the market. You're also going to learn what a minimum viable product is. A minimum viable product is what you will take to the market and you get people to use it and then get feedback before you build a full-fledged project. And we're going to be working closely with FSPs to deploy these solutions in the market. So that's a 3-round challenge. And the first, second, and third positions will be rewarded. The first position, the winner of the challenge, is going to go home with 3 million naira. The first runner-up is going home with 2 million naira. Efina and Giz has been generous. And the third runner-up will go home with 1 million naira. We also want to assure you that during the implementation stage in the market, we are going to be working with you and the FSBs to ensure these things are also implemented. Thank you very much. That's a brief summary of what the challenge is about.
All right, thank you so much, Aitwaz. Hope everyone can hear me well. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have, I think, a question. Tosin appears to be a member of the press. So someone has asked a question, and the question she's put to, or he or she, sorry, put up is in the Q&A forum. And I think this is directed at you, Aitwaz. And there's also a question from, I believe, a contestant asking if there is going to be a link to the video for those who joined late. And I believe the answer to that is yes, if you're a contestant. So there's a question here from Tosin, who I believe is a member of the press or an external guest, asking, how is this hackathon on access to finance for MSMEs different from others? And another question from Tosin as well. What are the challenges being encountered by the organizers in putting this hackathon together? So if you care to take those here now, or you could put the answers in the chat in the Q&A window docket at any time, that will be fine. Please confirm, Aitwaz.
Okay, so let me respond. I think Efina will also want to respond. It's different from every other challenge, access to finance, because it is born from a research. If you look at the thematic areas, I don't think it's something you can just jump up. I've never been to any hackathon access to finance for MSMEs where an MSME development kit, for instance, would be one of the thematic areas. So it's quite different. It came from extensive research, finance research, and all of that research that has been done, working closely also with Giz to come up with the major challenges. If you listen to Nora's presentation and finance presentation, she talked about the supply side, she talked about the demand side. So it's not just any other challenge. Another interesting thing to note also is that these solutions are going to be taken up by FSPs, financial services providers, banks, and fintechs to deploy the solutions in the market. So it's not a challenge for the fun of just coming up with innovative solutions or thinking with ideas. It's a challenge that we are intentional about to improve access to finance for MSMEs, and the solutions will be in the market. The second question is, what are the challenges being encountered by the organizers in putting this hackathon together? There are good challenges of brainstorming, challenges of planning, challenges. Those are the challenges. The day we put it up, people were already registering for it on our websites. Hackathon is something we do over and over again. Challenges of following up with different stakeholders that should participate. Those were the challenges. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Please also confirm for the participants in the hackathon, the registered participants, will they be able to get this video, the recording of this session, for them to use as a reference material for their preparations?
Yes, we'll share the video with them, and also we're going to provide moral support to everyone, right? So those who have challenges can reach out to us. We're creating a committee already for those participating in this hackathon from now, and registration is open to the 1st till 11:59 p.m. So the ideaton round officially takes off on the 2nd of August. So we'll provide that moral support. They're also going to learn how to use, I think I missed that during my presentation, APIs on the sandbox. So for instance, because we're going to integrate it to the legacy infrastructure of financial services providers, they're going to use APIs on the sandbox. You'll be taught how to use those APIs. The minimum requirement to participate is to create a team, a minimum of 2 persons, a maximum of 5 persons, and you should have at least a developer on your team that can build a minimum viable product. Yes, we'll provide that support. Our numbers are there. They've gotten our numbers. We're creating a WhatsApp group for them as well to join and participate, and we'll provide mentoring where necessary. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for that, Aitos. And with that, very quickly into what I would call the second half of today's session. And in this session, we're having 2 presentations that are going to be quite instructive to our contestants in hackathon. So please, once again, as I said earlier, please pull out your notes and your pens and your jotters and take very, very good notes on the that's going to be shared with you now. First up is a session on financial literacy for MSMEs. And this will be presented by a representative of GIZ in the person of Jennifer Sadel. She is going to give our contestants an overview of some of their findings, some thoughts, some guidance on, if an SME was looking at financial literacy for their level of operation, where to start from, what to think of. This information is pertinent to you because if you create a solution that's targeted at MSMEs to help them with financial literacy or financial management for their business, you want to be as properly advised as possible in getting that solution. So please be very attentive to this session. I think Jennifer was trying to get plugged in, hooked up. Jennifer, are you good to go? Please, if you are, please go right ahead and share your slides, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Derek. Let's see if I'm plugged in. Do you see my screen? Or better the presentation?
Yes, we see your screen now.
All right, then let me also switch on my video so that you can actually see me. All right, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you, Derek, for the nice introduction. Yeah, my name is Jennifer Seidel. I'm working for GIZ Nigeria for the CIDIM program that was already presented by my head of program, Markus Wauschkuhn. And yeah, I have the pleasure to inform you about what we have been doing with regards to financial literacy in the CIDIM program, which materials we have developed offline and online. And all our content is public source, so you're free to use it in the best way that fits for you to develop those solutions. And I thought maybe just to start again with thinking a bit, what is actually financial literacy? And I just used the definition to start with from the OECD. And it says financial literacy describes a combination of financial awareness, knowledge, skills, attitude, and behaviors necessary to make sound financial decisions and ultimately achieve financial well-being. And maybe to highlight here is, yes, it's about knowledge, about my own financial situation, how much money do I get, how much goes out, to have this overview, to understand it. But it also goes a step further to then really understand, okay, I have this amount of money, what do I do with it best? How much should I spend? How much should I invest? Should I save? What should I do? And taking this back to MSMEs, especially that they get an understanding, okay, how much money comes into my business, how much goes out, and what kind of financial decisions should I take now that benefit my business? Is it wise now to invest? Is it good to take a loan, or should I rather do something else? And finally, which is maybe a bit missing in this definition, is also how to understand the financial sector, to understand what kind of financial institutions are out there. What can they do, what they cannot do? Where is it safe to get money, to invest money, where not? And also when interacting with financial service providers, to be well versed and educated which questions to ask, to understand what are my rights as a financial consumer, but also my responsibilities towards this financial service provider. And with this, I would just like to let you know what we have developed together with the central bank and members of the financial literacy working group. The first version of the materials were already developed 2017 to 2018. And we did a big review with all financial stakeholders in Nigeria, with national and international experts. We did focus group discussions. We had trainers on board to really make sure that the content we are developing really fits the Nigerian context. Nigerians can associate with it, and it's also in line with international best practices, but also the national policies stated by the CBN. And we have materials for trainees. So for example, for MSMEs, but also for trainers. So for the trainers, the ones that should then step down, for example, the training to MSMEs, we have a trainer manual that gives information about how to be a trainer. We have the learning activities that for each topic give you ideas on what kind of activities, games, tasks you could do with your audience to really foster the knowledge and practice. All our contents are included in the so-called fact sheets. We have 4 topics. I'll let you know a bit more about them in the next slide. And then for the MSMEs, or generally the end beneficiaries, we have handouts. We call them on the one hand urban or rural, depending on the level of literacy, where each topic is very much combined with a nice story to really make it appealing and straightforward to understand. And those handouts, and then also the posters that are again rather for trainers that they can use while facilitating. We translated them into Pidgin and Hausa as well for the different regions in Nigeria. And just to give you an understanding which topics we covered and which are available, you see those 14, I think, for this challenge or the solution you're supposed to develop, not all are necessary. So the ones that are circled very big, I think they're worth looking into. For example, to understand managing your money, of course, boring, which talks about how to get a loan, and then also the topic in general, managing business finances, which is more focused on MSMEs. Some overlaps with this module, so there can be also, you can combine certain content there. And of course, then maybe not very high on a priority, but topics on needs and wants to really give some hints and some awareness for MSMEs to understand, to look at what do I really need for my business so that it survives, that it can develop, and what would be maybe just some nice add-ons, some nice gadgets, but that rather cost quite a lot, and is it really necessary or important to purchase them right now? Also the topic of saving, which is also looking at the financial service providers. They would of course rather prefer an MSME that has already put some money in a savings account where they can fall back onto. So it's a very important topic that should be also tried to be infused when talking about financial literacy or generally financial management for MSMEs. And then also the topic of consumer protection, what I mentioned at the beginning when talking about the definition about financial literacy. So yes, it's about understanding my own finances, knowing what to do right now, which products maybe to use, or whether to save that much or that much, but also to understand when I engage in the formal financial sector, what are my rights and my responsibilities, to make sure that I also request the right information from financial service providers, make sure that I fully understand the terms and conditions, and also, for example, compare offers. So also this part of consumer protection, we should try to find a way how to integrate it when developing the solutions. For the content, I think what you can focus on, so you will have access to all the content, and all those 14 topics have some key messages at the end. And especially for the topics that are maybe important, but rather in the background or just like supporting this whole concept, you could focus on looking at those key messages and see how you can infuse this information into the solutions you plan to develop. And also mentioned by the head of program already, we also converted the content into online modules together with the CBN, and modules are currently available on the e-learning platform hosted by the Federal University of Technology, Minna State, FUT-Minna. And yeah, feel free, I encourage you all to check it out, to get registered. Think also maybe to do the basic or the advanced financial literacy course, where those topics I just mentioned are infused it's an easy learning way where the content is already nicely prepared with some videos, etc. Also this content in future, we could see how this can be used maybe for the solutions. And all the content I just mentioned, when you
Jennifer, sorry to interrupt you. Could you click on your slides? We're still only seeing the very first slide.
That's not good at all. You should have told before. I'm on the last slide. What do you see now?
Yeah, I sent you a couple of. Yeah, it's better now. I was sending you messages because I didn't want to interrupt you. So you might want to just scroll through the others, so at least they could see some of the things you were talking about.
But which slide are you seeing right now?
We're seeing the very first one now.
Okay, the presentation mode or just as PowerPoint?
Just like this, if you click on the second one, I think you'll be fine.
You see the second
if you click
now?
on the second slide. Yes, we can see the second. Perhaps the third and fourth contain very important things. We remember this definition. And then yes. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, I would definitely also, you will also have access to the presentation. Apologies that this was not visible. But you see the second slide now with the definition, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So yeah, just here then maybe just to see the pictures of the financial literacy materials, which I mentioned. And just to come back then to those 14 topics that we have or that are available in those financial literacy materials. And that's what I mentioned with the circles, which you then definitely could not see and understand. So what I mentioned, for example, managing your money together with managing business finances, I think it's of interest. Financial planning, budgeting, and of course the module boring, which talks about loans, and then maybe infused a bit in the background, but still important, needs at once, saving, and consumer protection.
All right.
Okay. And then for the last, the e-learning platform called SMEsabi.com. Yeah, where you can just, if you click on the register button, register freely. All the courses are for free. You would get a certificate at the end, just to go through, for example, the basic financial literacy or the advanced financial literacy, or both if you have the time, to already get the content nicely digested with videos, some games, which should be also beneficial to, and I mentioned before, the fact sheets, the learning that are infused in those fact sheets. You can download them freely when you click on the button resources.
Okay.
I hope everybody could see that now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
perfect.
you very much.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much for that, Jennifer. And to our teams, please note, SMEsabi.com is the URL. Visit it and hopefully very quickly run through the basic and then the advanced modules if you can, to get some key insights into what would be crucial to an SME in terms of financial management. And if you're creating a solution in that space, this would be very, very good for you to use as a guide, a rule of thumb as it were, as you're developing your solution. So questions now for our facilitator. If you have any questions, please, you can put your hand up very quickly. Let's take these questions very, very quickly. And if not, we will run into the next session. So please, questions from our teams. Okay. Okay. Let me see. So to our contestants, the floor is open now, please. And I'd love for you to find your voices very quickly. Put your hand up or go to the Q&A session and type segment and type in your question there, and you get a quick answer from Jennifer while we still have her here. The window is open now. You can speak with her and ask her any questions. So please don't miss out on the chance. While we're doing that,
especially since there was an issue with the slide, feel free to ask if something was not clear, something was missing. I don't mind at all to quickly go back.
Please, guys. So this is our time to do this quickly. Okay. I think everybody was listening with very, very rapt attention, because I had warned them not to miss anything. So well, that was good. And we thank you so much for this session. Just in case someone finally finds their voice only after the next session, we would really love it if you could hang on for a bit. But if not, if they ask the questions later, we'll find a way to get them across to you and get a response from you to the teams.
Definitely, no problem.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Derek.
All right. So we are going to run forward into the second of the financial management sessions that have been put together for our teams to better understand the nature of this challenge. In discussing this hackathon with FSI's management, I was saying that this is a very interesting challenge, and it's one of those places where you have to pick your battles, as it were. It's quite, the scope is quite significant. You have quite a bit of leeway to pick the area you want to develop your solution in. So I encourage all our teams, once again, to please spend some time in deliberation and pick an area and do your research, do your homework very well for that particular area, so that what you put together really answers the questions. Remember, review the problem statement, review all the content that's been shared with you today, and use it to come to a decision as to which direction you're heading in, because that will determine whether what you come up with will survive the ideation stage. All right. So without further ado, we're going to be taking a second session, and it is brought to us by another friend of the house and partner in the person of Wade Ahimie, who is the founder and principal consultant at Accounting Labs. Please let us welcome him at this time as he gives us further insights into financial management skills development as it's pertinent to this competition. So please, Wade, you have the floor. I hope we can connect, and if you've got slides, I hope you're ready to go.
Hi, Derek. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, let me just try and share my slide. Apologies that I'm not using the backdrop. I've had issues with my computer, so I'm having to go with my phone. But let me just quickly share my slide.
It is well, my brother. Go right ahead.
Okay, then. Please just bear with me for a minute, please.
No problem at all. You're trying to share from your device, from your mobile device?
Yes, I'm trying to do that.
Okay.
It's taking me a bit.
It's most likely got to be, you will share your entire screen, and then you'd have to navigate to the
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
So okay.
But can he just send the presentation to us so that we project for him?
Okay, I sent it this morning.
Okay, so we'll project for you.
Okay, then.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So please, ladies and gentlemen, just give us a moment while we get Mr. Wade's slides shared from another device. And while we're doing that, please, if you have a question, this is a great time to throw it out there. And in fact, I don't know, can we confirm if our teams, the team leads, can unmute and just introduce themselves very quickly while we're doing this? Is it possible?
Sorry, what did you say, Derek? I wasn't.
Is it possible that the team leads could unmute for like half a second and introduce themselves?
Okay, whilst we wait for.
Exactly.
Let them raise up their hands. If you want to make a comment, you can raise up your hand.
So team leads in the house, just one rep for each team. Team lead, please put hand up in the platform here. Just click on raise hand so we identify you guys very quickly, and then you get to be given the chance to unmute and just mention your name and your team's name. That's all we need, and perhaps which city you are in. So you get to see how much of a global village we're working with here, or which part of the country you're in. So very quickly, put your hand up if you're a team lead so we can, okay, Saad, I see you. Other hands up, team leads in the house, put your hands up. Only seeing, okay, I see Bukun.
Wait, Salisu, you can go ahead, please.
I see Abubakar, Sadiq. I see 3 team leads right now.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, Abubakar.
Okay.
Your name, your team's name, and which city you guys are in, or which main city you guys, because you could be anywhere in the world right now.
Okay. My name is Abubakar Sadiq Ismail. I am from Team Vine, and we are in Yola, Nigeria, in Adamawa State. We are all students of Modibo Adama University of Technology, Yola, and we have registered this hackathon to solve a problem. We have been looking at the management section of MSEs. That is, I think, where we are going to solve the problem in the hackathon. So I have four members with me and other 3 guys.
Good to hear from you. Now, who else has put their hand up? Let me see. I've got 4 hands up now. Thank you so much for that, Abubakar. Let's hear. I also see Chinedu Kalu. I see Abubakar Sadiq, and I had heard from Sadiq already. So we have Chinedu Kalu and Saadu Abubakar. Let's hear from you guys quickly.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Chinedu. I'm from our team Tech. This is actually our 3rd year in FSI, and it's great to come around once again to try to solve a problem for the MSMEs. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to throw out all of our ideas and see that we come up with a solution. So we once again thank the organizers and of course FSI for always coming up with this hackathon to see how much we can provide solutions to the MSME. So thank you very much, and we hope to bring up a solution that will actually come up with a great help for them. Thank you so much, and God bless us.
All right, awesome stuff. Good to hear from you, Chinedu. Now let me see.
Hello.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ibuku. I'm joining from Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria. The name of our team is Windscope.
Way to go.
And okay, the name of our team is Windscope.
Windscope, all right.
Yes. So, and we are also willing to declare solutions for MSMEs.
All right. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
And you're very, very welcome. Look forward to seeing what you guys are going to come up with over the next couple of weeks. And please, we encourage everyone once again to please key in to all the materials that have been shared, because this is what you'll be appraised against. And I'm glad that some of the teams, this is not your first time, and this is not your first introduction, as it were, or your introduction to the FSI community or to hackathons as a whole. There is a very, very important need to understand the problem statement. That's why the problem statement is often shared in as much detail as possible, so that everyone can understand it and use it as a guide, because that's what you're speaking to. And all the other material that has been provided, again, basically just serves as further research material, as further guidance to come up with your solution. And we encourage you to please make sure you refer to all these things so that you create an entry that does speak to the problem statement and address a need for a real portion of the economy. All right. So I think we are ready with those slides. I think Mr. Wade's slides are ready to go. Saadu, your hand is finally back up again. Can you unmute and speak quickly? You're the last person, quickly before we go back into the presentations. Saadu.
Okay, good morning, or afternoon rather. Hello, can you all hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Saadu, you can go right ahead. Or is that Mr. Wade?
Okay, my name is Saadu Salihu Abubakar, and I'm a student of Usman Danfodio University, currently residing at Sokoto State, a state in the northwest region of the country. And with me, I have 4 other members, and the name of our team is Ansar. It's an Arabic word for helpers, and we think we have a solution that, after making some thorough research, is almost the thing the people here want to see being implemented, in as much as the problems in the MSME, pushing out our ideas and seeing it come into reality. Thank you very much.
All right, good to hear from you, and welcome to the competition. All right, we are running into our second, what I call them, more precise and academic presentations for today that speak very, 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 very clearly and specifically to one of the core areas of this challenge. And it will be presented by Mr. Wade Ahimie. Mr. Wade, you have the floor. Please take it home.
Thank you, Derek. I want to thank Athena, Giz, and FSI for giving me the opportunity to speak to everyone today. 2 things I've heard today and has become very pertinent in the business world is 1, financial literacy knowledge, and the second one is financial management skill. As potential winners of this hackathon. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go right ahead.
Okay. As potential winners of this hackathon, one thing that you can be rest assured is you will get monies, and you would have to invest those monies in whatever project you're trying to work on. I can't see the slides on the screen, please. So without further ado, I'd like to go into today's presentation, which will take me about between 30 and 40 minutes, so that we can spend about 15 to 20 minutes on the discussion point, because I do think that a lot of questions are going to come in. Next slide, please. The one after this one. So the learning objectives for me today would fall under 4 categories. Understanding the need for setting up an accounting and finance system, from ideas through development to maturity, the need for founders to become jack of all trades and masters of all, understanding transaction flow for more efficient planning, monitoring, and managing financial and accounting gap, and then understanding business funding types and internal structures to access funds. Please go on. And we'll take that under 6 headers for the content, which is defined. We'll first define what accounting, finance, and value chain is. And the topic, sorry, I forgot to talk about the topic. From MSMEs to conglomerates, accounting, finance, and value chain. They all go hand in hand, because if you don't understand the value chain of whichever sector you're trying to provide some solutions for, then it might be difficult for you to account and also get the right kind of financing to boost your product or your service. So we're looking at the definition of accounting, finance, and value chain. I'll be looking at the traffic light mantra of accounting, finance, and value chain. We're looking at understanding the transaction flows and kind of information that you would require as you go on, winning this challenge, and then setting up your own business to provide services for different sectors in order to pull in more people into the financial space. And then we'll be looking at the relationship between accounting, finance, and value chain. And that would help you understand your business better. And then I will just drop the conclusion, and then we'll go to the brainstorming session, which I call Where Are You Now? So we'll look at the definition of accounting briefly and quickly. Accounting is defined as a structure that a business uses to collect, store, manage, process, retrieve, and report its financial data so it can be used by the accountants, by a number of stakeholders, which include governments, financiers, auditors, regulators. Next slide. And then finance is defined as the management of money and includes activities such as how much you want to invest, where do you borrow money from, are you lending money to other people, how are you providing money towards making your business grow by setting out budgets, how do you save, or how do you provide monies back into the business to ensure that you can grow and you're going from being a startup to a growth business, and then finally going into maturity. And then it has to do also with forecasting, meaning that how do you see the future of your business? One thing I always tell a lot of new entrants into this is that on the minute you start the idea, then money is involved, and you have to keep this at the back of your mind. You're either going to pay for some time for getting, whether it's internet access or data access, you're going to find time to rent a space to have some peace and quiet. You're even going to have to consider the fact that your own time that you're spending has some other value that could have been provided, that provide you additional resource at that point in time. The last one, please, last definition, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. No, the one before this, please. And what is value chain? The one before this, please. So value chain is the process or activities by which a company adds value to an article, including production, marketing, and the provision of after-sales services, which is something that the participants today would start thinking about. What is your value proposition? You're going to build a solution, and what are you going to do after that? Like I just said, you are going to start off with an MVP so that you know what the minimum valuable product is going to be like, and then you're now going to build that solution. It might not be ready for market, or you will have something to test within the market. And how do you ensure that? One, you can ensure that you provide the information for how much it costs you to bring out that product. What are the things that you need to do to improve on that product from the test, so that the FSPs will be able to work with you and believe that the product is viable enough to go into the market and make money for you. And if there are improvements, how do you go about it? What kind of cost are you going to incur? What kind of sales options are you going to have to provide? And a lot of startups and businesses in this sphere always look at it from just the technology part. But as a technology solution provider, first thing you must think about is it's a business, not just a tool to the next phase. And that is very, very crucial in understanding that you have to have that financial management skill to, one, set up the business, to move it from a startup into the growth stage, look for how you're going to get the resources to put into the business so that you can grow. And when you get into maturity, how do you continually develop and work in a complex market to provide solutions that forever change based on the needs and other things that work around within the society and the economy as a whole. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, the traffic light principle is straightforward. Anybody who drives or rides a bicycle or rides a bike understands the basic principles of the traffic light. The red says stop, the yellow or the amber says wait, and then the green says you should go. If you apply it to the way you think about this, whether it's from the idea right up to the final solution that has been provided, then you will better understand how money flows or money should flow within a business setup. And those are the basic things for me that require to have a better understanding of financial management. One, when you think about it, three things will happen. Money will be spent, meaning that you must create a product and then you must invest money for you to get it to that MVP and then get that solution out, test in the market, and then make that solution viable for those, and then market it and continually grow it and improve upon it so that you can make more money. And you must be able to record from the beginning that when you create the idea in your head, how much are you looking at? What are the resources that you require? Some people will tell you it's an investment. How much do you think you need to invest? Who do you need to get as partners? And all this must be costed to the last kobo so that you can better understand the cost of getting into the market or getting into the stage of production, and then from production into market, and then from market to growth. Money will be saved. How do I ensure that knowing how much it's going to cost me, who do I bring in so that I don't have to spend so much money either from my pocket or looking for investments that people will tell you that your product hasn't gotten to a stage where they can put the investment. Sometimes this happens where you have to bring in a co-founder or a co-business partner towards developing the product from the idea stage. And then money will be made, which is the end game. The end game is to see that product reach the market and make money for you. So the beginning for creating any insights to greater efficiency towards continued improvement in accounting, finance, and value chain management starts with this mantra. When you think about it, money will be spent, money will be saved, money will be made. And where do you play at every particular point in time? That is better understood when you understand the value chain, not just of the business that you're trying to provide a solution for, because that's what's going to bring you the money, but also the value chain proposition that you, as the developer, and those of you who are participating in this hackathon over the next week, will better understand what value proposition am I bringing? What is the cost of bringing out or creating that value for the next person to be able to pay tangible value to the value that I have created? And that has to do with not just saying, oh, the solution is quick and easy. It will be quick and easy, and there's really no value creation on your side, so that that value is not being able to be paid for by a consumer who is looking for a solution on the market side. And we must think about this from the perspective that you're going to spend money and you have an opportunity to get one of the prizes. It could be 3 million, it could be 2 million, it could be 1 million. But these things you must put at the back of your mind. You must record every aspect of it to ensure that how much I've spent has reached the point that if I do win 1 million and move to the next stage, it would be not only rewarding for me, but additional money that I can put in as investment towards taking my product to the next stage. Next slide, please. So by understanding the information flow of your market, where you want to provide a solution for, becomes very, very important. And there are 4 stages that you have to be able to put together towards ensuring that you can create not just a solution, but also provide that financial management skill and the financial literacy expectation from that market that you're looking to providing a service for. The first thing is to identify the information that you require. What markets am I dealing with? What kind of consumers do we have? How much are they willing to pay for the product or the service that I want to provide? Because that would determine how much you are willing to put into that area, or how much you think it should be that you're going to invest in creating this solution. The next thing is to be able to record the fact that when I am creating this solution, every amount I spend goes into the fact that it is a cost that must be related to the one, the solution that you are providing. 2, and at the end of the day, this cost is what is going to determine how much I'm going to charge as pricing. And then lastly, it would help you determine what how you cost the time of those who are providing this solution for you, and providing these solutions for you. And that becomes very, very essential in costing your solution from the production stage. And then the next thing is to analyze that information and be able to bring it here and say, if I go to market, this is the cost of doing this. This will be the additional cost for marketing it into it, and then reporting that information to whoever you are going to, or whoever is going to be an investor in your business. You'll be able to tell the person that I have the record of what it took to build this and market it into the into the market, and then be able to provide for you one thing: how much are you willing to take for an investment in your business, and what kind of percentages are you going to be looking at to offer to whoever the investor is to go to the next stage of your solution provision. Next slide, please. And like I said, by understanding the transaction flow, you must look at two critical aspects of it. The information that you have had, is it relevant and is it reliable? And like Aitwas and Judith had, and sorry, Nora had said at the beginning, extensive work had gone into the research for this hackathon, breaking barriers. And that's why you can see that what they're working on are 4 quadrants. And it's not just about building solutions, but also being able to gather the data for future reference. That's one. You having the financial skills so that it's not that you win this hackathon and then the next thing you take the 3 million and then you can't produce the solution to the next step, which becomes very, very disappointing, not only for those who have spent so much time in putting the research together and who have been able to look at your solution and believe that that's the next big solution in the market, but for you yourself, because you just haven't been able to cost and be able to create the value based on the value proposition that you have put together. And that's the relevance of the transaction flow and the reliability of the information you gather must be able to go into a box which is useful for your accounting information. Remember what we said from the previous slide: you identify the information, you record the information, you analyze the information, and then you report. And like Marcus said at the beginning, one of the biggest challenges you have is not the fact that you don't have those who can provide the solution, it's just that they don't have the requisite business knowledge to drive the solution to the next level. And once you can provide that in the form of accounting information or reporting, then it can only be limited by a number of things. How do you compare this information with is the information that you gather, like I said, is it relevant and reliable enough for you to be able to compare to what the industry is talking about? How long ago did you gather this information? If you gathered information on fintech in the 1990s and you want to use it today, then that information will not be able to provide the kind of service that is required in today's world. What are the cost benefit analysis of the information that you have? Remember what we said: you must identify, you must record it, you must analyze it, and then you must report it. So these are the characteristics that influence the usefulness of accounting, finance, and value chain information. You must be able to tell yourself that I have the information, I've been able to quantify it, and then I've been able to analyze the quantification of that information to get me quality information towards defining the strategy or the marketing options that I'm going to use to drive my solution or build my solution. So when we look at the relationship between accounting, finance, and value chain, it's important for you to remember that it's your value chain that helps you with a number of things that you're going to use to build your solution. And it's also from that value chain that you're going to get the consumers who are going to buy of the service or the product that you are providing. So when you tie the two together, the only thing that you see within that chain, whether it's accounting or it's finance or it's the value chain management itself, it's the monies that flow through it. Some monies are going out, some monies are being saved, while some monies are being spent. And it takes us back to the mantra. And when you think about it, money is either being spent, money is either being saved, or money is either being made. So you must look at who are the people providing this service for you. Who are the people that you want to sell this business? Who are the people that you want to partner with in terms of the FSP? What kind of solutions are you looking at? Which niche areas are you going to get into? Which regions are you targeting? What is the market within that space? And that goes to the distribution of any solution that is going to be provided during this hackathon. And the last of it is the customers who are going to pay for this service of this product. Very, very important. And that's why we must look at that value chain from the beginning to the end and see what the gaps can be and the inefficiencies within that value chain. It's making the value within that chain too expensive. And how do you want to make sure you cover those inefficiencies and those gaps towards providing cheaper solutions? Are you with me? And being able to provide it to more customers and having the volume of turnover increase. The more the turnover in terms of cheaper products, the more revenue, the more profit, and even the more wealth that is created within the context of the society. And so we'll look at those relationships from this perspective. Procurement, planning, customer service, the customer itself, warehousing, and logistics. So on the part of procurement, if you go on to the next slide, what are the things that you need to think about? Procurement are those who provide the service for those who are the ones that provide goods or services that you require. How much do you need to pay for your internet service? Those costs have to be relevant and have to be recorded so that you can put it into the cost of the solution that is being built. Who do I need to get the monies from to buy these services? If I am expecting to get these services from a third party, how much will it cost? Do I have the kind of finances to finance that? And that has to do with a bit of accounting, which is recording the information in terms of how much is spent, how much you expect to spend, and then finance. Where is the money coming from? Who is going to pay for it? The second part will be planning, which will be on the value chain side. When you look at planning, take your time. Aside from you thinking about the idea and planning how you're going to build or create the solution and also create your MVP, you find out that you also require resources to do that. You require resources both in form of human capital, you require resources both in form of assets in terms of your computers, in terms of, like I said earlier, in terms of your internet. So how do you plan that? And once you've been able to decide where you want to procure those the cost bearing items from, then it's easier for you to say, okay, I can deploy Mr. A. My team should be a team of 2 instead of a team of 5, because all those have cost implications to the final solution cost, which will go to market. And remember what we said: the lower the pricing, the more the volumes that are turned around, and the more profitability and more wealth that is created within the value chain and the context of the site. The next part will be the customer service, which has to do with a bit of how do I market it to the next side. It still comes back to a lot of human capital expense that will be used. How many people are hitting the street to sell your services? What kind of in today's world, what kind of digital media, social media marketing platforms are you using? Which will be another cost that will come. How do I finance them? And how do I account for them? But like I said, the value chain tells you how much is within that value that is created across that chain. And part of that value, part of it is cost, and part of it is earnings that will come from it. How do you ensure that, one, you minimize the cost of providing service to that value and maximize the benefit that come out from it. And the benefit would only come out from the consumers or your customers or your partners who are going to pay for the service that you provide. If the service being provided or the product being provided is too expensive, believe me, the FSPs are not going to work with you. The customer is going to be willing to pay the price for it. And that's why Athena and G has continually said that you need solutions that are simple and can fit the market and get more people into the financial bracket. Very, very important. The next part will be the logistics or the warehousing. And like FSI had said, you would have access to the sandbox. You would have access to API technology that you can test your product, that you can ensure that your minimum valuable product that has moved into a solution can be tested for whether it's how rigorous it is, how beneficial it can be, what kind of upskills and upgrades you require. And also all those things are all either cost or revenues that come to you. And at the end of the day, we'll look at the technology part of it, which is the handshake at the end of the day. If your product or your solution makes sense, believe me, technology would handshake with each other. And yes, there's an expense part of it, which is the cost for you paying to be able to get that service through the FSP into the market. But at the end of the day, the reward will be tremendous. But always remember that at every point in time, what happens is there's either money being made, there's money being saved, or there's money being spent. In conclusion, for me, accounting, finance, and value chain management is so important. This conclusion slide is so important when navigating your business. If you don't know how and where your money is going and coming from, there's a very good chance you will lose control of the system. When businesses manage their value chain system, income and expense management are clearly identified, which brings about a greater potential for growth. And then I'm ready for the questions and the answers to be provided now. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you once again, Epina, Giz, and FSP for giving me the opportunity to speak here.
Thank you so much for that very detailed presentation. Sorry for the echo from my side. I hope the noise has stopped. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Derek. I can. Can you hear us? Oh, it's frozen.
We can take questions from the immediate past session as well. So please put up your questions either in the Q&A module, or you put up your questions by putting your hand up, and then we can have you on mute and share your thoughts or ask a question. So please, questions on any aspect of what we've done today. Otherwise, I'm going to ask our participants a question. So if you want to ask a question, you need to put your hand up. You need to raise your hand. So at the bottom of the screen, you see the raise hand icon. Click on that, and then be called up to ask your question. Please, that's how that works. Don't just unmute. Especially if you're in a noisy place, try and find a quiet place before you ask a question. Or if you're in a noisy, please type your question. Don't unmute. It's really going to be a bit of discomfiture for everyone else in here. So please type your question into the Q&A module, or put your hand up so we can take your question and have you unmute and ask your question verbally. So please, contestants, team leads, team members, as the case may be, please feel free to do that. Either put your hand up so we can call you up to speak, or type your question in the chat, or type it in the Q&A module, please. We await the questions from our contestants. I hope that Mr. Wade's session was not too technical. You know, before it turns out that everybody is scratching their heads right now trying to figure out how not to ask a silly question. So please, there are no silly questions. If you have any question, please ask it now, please.
So I think Merit Mohammed has been raising his hand, Derek. So maybe he can just
I'm not even seeing, let me see, okay, because it's not showing up. Merit, please go right ahead. If you can unmute, please go ahead and unmute. You said Merit Mohammed? I don't see.
Okay,
Merit, okay. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I love him. I love the session. I just want to ask, let's say we're trying to solve a problem, and then the country we are doesn't give us the opportunity to harness, like, you're trying to solve a problem, but where the community you are doesn't give you those infrastructure to be able to handle this kind of problem. What do you do, sir?
I think I'll need you to be a bit more specific. What do you mean by the community doesn't give you the infrastructure? You need to be specific, please.
Okay, so now for the breaking barriers, we're talking about loans, loans collection, and all those reimbursements after being paid. Like, if I'm to take like the CBN regulations, they do not give license for possible withdrawal from people's accounts, or when they default, the CBN regulation also defaulters. So the infrastructure is not being made for individuals. So how do we go around handling those kind of cases? Like infrastructures like that are not being put in place.
I think I was.
What is your new? Okay, okay.
I think ITWAS will be in a better position to answer that when it comes.
Okay, thanks, Mohammed, for your question. So first of all, let's bring us back to the hackathon, right? Like we have said, the solutions that will be developed in this hackathon will be implemented by FSP,
which is what FSI.
Sorry, can I go on? Somebody was speaking. So
please go ahead.
The solutions that will be developed at this hackathon will be implemented by financial services providers. So the financial services providers are already licensed institutions, and they'll be able to implement the solutions that will be developed during this challenge. So I first of all wanted to bring us back to the challenge. About infrastructure. The Central Bank of Nigeria only licenses banks to be able to advance loans, and that's because they're advancing loans based on customers' deposits. So there's what we call the loan to deposit ratio. And so if you're going to be giving loans as a percentage of what customers' deposits you have, those loans have to be secure. And that's why not everybody will qualify for a banking license. However, there are some other institutions that give out loans. They give out loans, they give out their capital as loans, let me put it that way. So those ones get a license from the state government, and then they give out loans. And so when they're able to show up enough funds, they go ahead to get a license from the central bank. It's a regulatory issue. Regulatory support, FINA is involved in advocacy, FSI is involved in advocacy, but the challenges are real, the issues are real. So that's what it is today. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that question, Merit. Any other questions? Any other questions? In fact, I'm going to do something I often do in other sessions I host. I'm going to ask for 3 teams their team leaders to share with us something that they got from any of the sessions they've got today. So the first 3 teams to respond We'll take your feedback. What aspect of what you heard today resonated with you and was quite insightful, and why? So 3 teams, very quickly, you can put your hand up to respond to that. Since I'm not getting questions from you guys, let me get feedback from you. What aspect of what you heard today, any of the sessions, was impactful, insightful, challenging, caught your attention, shared new knowledge with you, gave you new knowledge, and why? Go right ahead. 3 teams, very quickly. I expect that our people will be sharp because, all right, I see, oh no, I see though, not you. I need to see some hands up or some people responding. 3 team leads, very quickly. What aspect of what you heard today resonated with you? Okay, Marvelous, I see your hand up. Next team. Marvelous is going to go first. Go ahead, Marvelous.
Okay, good day, everyone.
Good day.
Yeah, I'm from Rootech. My team leader spoke before. And one thing I got was the fact that most of the products that have been built, I know what we can call, they are not usable by the customers, by the MSMEs. They were built without the contributions from the MSMEs. They were built isolated from them, so they were not carried along in the process. So which made the product that came out to be like a little bit off from their programs.
Right, so very, very important insight there about relevance. Whatever you're coming up with has to be relevant. And we are expecting that in your process, not just in selecting a solution, because it's one thing to select a solution or an idea or a product or a service. It's another thing to justify it, not just to yourself, but to other people, because this is no longer just about you and your team, but it's about partners, it's about fitting into an ecosystem, it's about getting approval. So you're very right that in the end, very critical stakeholders or omitting them or neglecting to attend to their concerns could literally cause your product to be irrelevant. And I think Wade mentioned this in one of his slides. He said it's the customer that assures you that you'll be seeing some revenue. The customer, the end consumer, is the reason why all this is being done. And if of all people, if you go and get the regulators to okay your solution, for some reason they okay it, and you get partners on board and they come on board and they're happy with you, but the customer doesn't like what you're creating, you don't have a business, you don't have a solution because it will never be used. So very, very good insight there. Thank you very much for that. I hope everybody's learning from that. 2 more teams, please. What did you learn? What hit you? What struck you? What did you come away from all our sessions today with? I want to hear from our teams. This is interesting because in a hackathon, it's about speed. You know, it's about being able to get information quickly, review it, take a decision, and implement, go forward. So now I've thrown a challenge out to everyone. Quickly analyze everything you heard today and tell me what struck you. And I've got only 1 response out of God knows how many teams. Guys, this is not looking good. I think we have a front runner in terms of the speed with which people are responding to me here. We're watching you guys. So please, let me hear from 2 more teams very quickly. What aspect of what you heard today resonated with you, struck you, and why? Quickly, 2 more teams. Either you put your hand up or you put a message in the chat that you want to have the ability to speak and you will be allowed to unmute. Quickly, please. You can click on raise hand. So I'll see that you've raised your hand. If you want to speak for your team, put your hand up, raise hand, or type a question in, or type a comment in the chat. In fact, everyone's pretty much being given the opportunity now to speak. Team lead, speak for your team. What aspect of what you heard today or saw today resonated with you and why? Quickly. This is very interesting. I'm going to have to call names now. I hope we are present in here. All right, I'm going to call on Charles from Team Tribunal, I guess. And let me also call on, I am not sure I've seen any ladies in here. Marvelous, you've already spoken. I'm not sure I'm going to take you a second time, but just hang on. Let me get Charles to speak. And this is Faith. Faith, if you're a lady, let's hear from you on behalf of your team. And if we don't hear from Faith, let's hear from Onyinye Chukwume, if you're a lady, for your team as well. Charles, Faith, Onyinye, let's hear from you guys. Charles of Team Tribunal, I guess. Faith Mustafa, and I saw an Onyinye Chukwume, I believe that's a lady's name, or Jumoke Adama. Let me hear from those people. What aspect of what you heard today resonated with you, struck you, gave you new insights, and quickly. All that before we come back to you, Marvelous. So where are Charles, Faith, Jumoke, and Onyinye? Let's hear from you guys very quickly, please. This is really interesting. They're not team leads. They're running from speaking on behalf of their teams. Faith has been struck out somehow. Okay. Jumoke. All right, Marvelous, since you put your hand up again, if you still have a comment or question, quickly, let's hear from you.
I'm sorry. From what was said in the whole presentation, it's pointing to, I don't know if anyone is thinking about it, it's pointing to the fact that our application should carry something like a template, an Excel template, where people, the MSMEs, can manage their finance. I don't know if something like that is something on the application should be able to manage, to help the MSME manage their finance, let them record maybe their daily sales, their rate statements, or something like that.
I could be wrong, but I don't believe that that was either implied or required by any of the speakers today. So the way you've just described it, as in having an Excel sheet, not necessarily. You are one of the key challenges that SMEs have in Nigeria, MSMEs have in Nigeria, is managing their finances. So that is one of the biggest problems, not just in Nigeria, but anywhere else in the world. You start a business, there's money coming in, and there's money going out. And what I have talked about is that when you begin to see money moving in and out, there are questions you need to ask yourself as an entrepreneur. And you developing a solution for those entrepreneurs are coming up with something that is going to help them in managing this problem of where did the money go? We served 20,000 customers, but we're not liquid, or we don't have any profit. Where did the money go? How can they easily answer that question? And perhaps it could end up being a very simplistic solution that you come up with that involves Excel or any other thing, but it's not like a requirement. The requirement is that you come up with a solution that that MSME person will be happy to see. And remember, MSMEs in Nigeria, as all the other slides have shown you, knowledge level, education level, access to technology, and all that is not spectacular. So GIZ has come up with this platform that helps people understand in their own languages the basic principles of managing their money. So you have to, in building your solution, realize that not everybody speaks English, not everybody's gone to school, and so on and so forth. Jennifer spoke to that in her own presentation, that you have to create something. They even translated their solution to local languages. So in coming up with your solution, the focus is those MSMEs, their level of knowledge and the challenge that they're facing. So I don't think anybody is requiring you to use Excel or anything like that. I could be wrong, and other speakers could speak to that as well. Wade, Aitwas, you can also speak. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So we thank everyone that has put up a hand or asked a question so far. And well, we have a few dying moments left. If you can, and if you do want to ask a question or respond, any of our team leads that are present here, Ibukun Akimpade, I see your hand up. You can unmute, you can ask your question, or you can type it in the chat. Also, if you are able to rename yourself, please do so. Let's have you indicate your team name against your name. So Ibukun, please go ahead with your question. Marvelous, rename yourself. If you're a team lead for a team in this competition, you can insert your team name beside your name. Just click on your name and then indicate rename. So Ibukun, go right ahead, quickly.
All right, okay. So I want to just talk about some part of the teachings that resonated with me.
Go right ahead.
I'm asking question. Okay, one of the resource person, talked about how most MSMEs find it difficult to put a distinction between their own personal money and business money. And that is one of the major issues that most MSMEs encounter on a daily basis, having to, the money they use for their personal day-to-day running activities and the money that is meant for the business. So on the long run, they tend to dip their hands inside their business money, and they find it difficult to, get a proper accounting for their businesses, and it has accounted for the downfall of many businesses in many MSMEs today. Then secondly, one of our teachers also talked about how we should think outside the box, especially having to meet MSMEs in our locality, the informal sector, having to meet them one-on-one and know what are their challenges, their basic challenges, because the essence of what we are doing is to be able to solve a problem, provide solution to a particular problem or problems that they are going through. So it's expedient of us as teams to to get to meet these people in our local, because they are everywhere. They are very close to us. They are our neighbors, so we know them. So we meet them and let them explain to us what are the issues they're having in running their businesses, especially the financial aspect, and we are able to provide a solution that they can relate with easily, they can work with easily without having to go to school, because most of them, a good number of them, they don't have formal education. So it should be something they can easily work with without any help, without any external help.
All right. Thank you for that information, because I love it when there's a session like this and information is passed across and it actually people connect. This is the reality. In the end, I said this earlier, if you build something, you design something somehow on your own, wherever, and the end user can't connect with it, you've not built anything. So yes, please, by all means, interact with actual MSMEs and find out where they are, where the shoe pinches, and think to create a solution. Let me just use this opportunity to mention again, as Aitos and the team often tell you, an MVP, which you'll be creating in the second segment of this competition, is not supposed to be an encyclopedia of solutions. It's just one thing that solves one aspect of a problem that they have. So please, all teams are encouraged again to, number one, take your time out to do your research, to pick an area. And then when you pick that area, you do further research to come up with a solution that addresses a problem for these people. And it's lovely when the solution you find affects a large number of people. Perhaps it's good, but let it be clear who this solves the problem for and that they will value this solution. All right. Okay, I've given our people time to comment, and I haven't heard from as many teams as I would have wanted to, but we will still march forward. And I thank all of you who have actually shared your thoughts and given your feedback and the things that resonated with you. And we are glad to have had you in today's session. In closing, which is where we are right now, I want to once again, on behalf of our hosts, though she's still going to come up, perhaps Aitwas, you probably have some closing and parting words for us for today's session. We're still back here again tomorrow. To thank all our support teams and all the guys in-house and outside that helped make this happen today. And our sponsors, our partners, Athena, GIZ, and I think let me let Aitos have the floor to tidy up a bit of housekeeping that has to do with the competition itself. Any other parting thoughts for our teams? Thank you very much, please, to all our facilitators that came in today and spoke. Jennifer, thank you. Wade, thank you very much. Aitos, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Derek, and thank you, Wade and Jennifer, for the thoughts shared during this session. Very insightful. I would just like to reinforce what Derek had said. The output, that's if you get to the third round, is an MVP, not an encyclopedia of solutions. Financial management, skills development, Wade spoke to several areas. He talked about logistics, he talked about supply chain, several things. During Nora's presentation, she highlighted some issues they have. She talked about poor accounting records and things like that. So for financial management skills, how do you manage your sales? How do you manage your inventory? Things like that. Those are the things you should be thinking about. We'll share this presentation so that you can revisit it. We'll share the recording with you so that you can listen to it again. During Jennifer's presentation, she talked about needs and wants, how to separate the monies, how to save, how to invest. There are several things that were spoken here today that I think that we should not jump and say, okay, I'm interested in financial management skills development because I already have a solution. You may not come out with a very good solution. The second thing I would like to say also is make sure you do your research. What you have received here is a springboard for you to come up with something innovative. You'll be judged on 4 criteria. 1, innovativeness. You're also going to be judged on product design. You're going to be judged on presentation. You're going to be judged on scalability. Can this solution scale? How many people will use it? And so you have to look at social barriers. You're going to look at cultural barriers. You're going to look at literacy barriers. And so a lot has been said in this room today. Tomorrow, we'll be here by 11 a.m. and we're going to have 2 sessions. The first session is going to address SME design toolkits. This is the first time something like this will be happening in the hackathon. Don't just quickly write, for MSME, give them money and all of that. It may your time will not be lost if you do. Your time may be lost if you do just that. So I expect that you listen to the director from Smedan. Smedan is small, medium, and micro, small, and medium enterprise. He's the director from Smedan, and he's going to be speaking about how to design a product for MSMEs. They live these challenges. They have over 40 million members, so they can really speak to these challenges across the 6 geopolitical zones. Interesting thing about this hackathon is a problem in Lagos for an MSME may not be the same in Sokoto State. So look at your community and start thinking of what kind of problems, what are the financial management problems do MSMEs have in Sokoto State, for instance, or have in Abuja, for instance, or have in Oshogbo, for instance, or have in Lagos, for instance, so that we can see the innovativeness in your solution, especially during the ideaton stage before we move to the second round. Tomorrow as well, we're going to be having the CEO of Fair Money. Fair Money is a microfinance bank. And they are not just in Nigeria, they're also in several other countries. And he'll be speaking to us about credit appraisal, digitized lending. I think there's a lot to learn from both of them tomorrow. On the 29th, we're going to have somebody else talking to us about collateral collateral, alternative collateral options that MSMEs will have. Like we know, MSMEs may not be able to provide legal mortgage, the traditional collateral that are out there in the market already. He's going to be speaking to us about how to use data. You need to look at the value chain. Wade has spoken about the value chain. Look at the value chain of MSME's business, the supply side, the demand side, and all of that. This is not a regular hackathon. I would like to make that statement. It's not a regular hackathon. Okay, for MSME, let me just create one solution for you to make a mark, for you to be impressive, and you stand the chance of working very closely with top financial services providers if you come up with something very good. Please be on time tomorrow. I would like to say a big thank you again to everyone that has stayed to the end of the program. I'd like to say a big thank you to Jennifer from GIS for being with us up to this moment. A big thank you to Efina for thinking about this, and to everyone present. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you all once again. We're done for today. Have a beautiful remainder of your day and see you on time tomorrow. Bye-bye.